Hey there, Chicago. Oh boy, somebody had some drinks before they got here. Hey there, Chicago. There we go. Just wanted to let you know something before I got started. I'm black. You guys are laughing, but I feel it's important that I share this information early because during the course of my talk, I may say some things that may not necessarily be consistent with what you know of black people. It may throw you off. You may whisper to your friend, wait, I thought he was black. So to help you with that, I put this box out here. And you know what? Hold on one second. I'm going to reinforce this whole black thing I got going on with one more little label, gang. I was in a gang. So if you ever get confused about whether or not I'm black, just remember I was also in a gang. And that should help you connect the dots. I'm making a little fun, but how many people have heard the story about the black guy who was in the gang, who got out of the gang and was a success? Have you heard that story before? How many people have heard the story about the white guy who was in the gang and pulled up, oh, I heard the laughter already. Like, what are you talking about? There are no white people in gangs. This is why I did this, to play on our automatic assumptions about what it means to be a gang member. Before I started working for ESPN, the magazine, I remember this front page story, this cover story that had Chris Webber. How many of you know Chris Webber, the NBA player? He was on a cover, and he had this big, huge, thick gold chain, and it says something about thug life. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I'm from Detroit. I'm the same age as Chris. I know Chris. Chris was not a thug. He was no kind of thug. Chris went to Detroit Country Day Prep School. His mom and dad lived with him. He had a nice middle-class upbringing. There was nothing thuggish about Chris in the way he was brought up. But when he got to the NBA, there was this image, right, that he had to keep up with. This was in the 90s when hip-hop was taking over the NBA, and everybody was about keeping it real, the gold chains, thug life. And so here's Chris Webber, mom, dad, brother, sister, living in the suburbs, nice school upbringing, and he feels compelled to be something that he's not. So he's on the cover of this magazine that says Thug Life. And you know the real crazy thing is, no one at the magazine challenged it. Chris said, yeah, man, I had a hard, thug life. And they was like, okay, black thug life, that must be what it is. And when I got to the magazine, the first thing I said was, who approved this story? If you had just gone to Detroit and asked people, they would have told you, Chris is no thug. You just bought into it. Now me, I was a pseudo-thug. Faux thug, if you will. I wasn't in a gang because I was black. I was in a gang because I was lonely. I needed a place to belong. My stepfather was very abusive. He used to beat me every day. One night, I remember actually having to lie to my teacher about why I had these whelps on my arms because I was so afraid of my stepfather. So when I got of age, I wanted to feel like I belonged to a family. And that's the reason why I got involved with the gang. Now, the thing that's really going to throw you off, and this definitely has thrown some other people off, is that my story doesn't end with gang. Girl, he's gay. We done lost another one. The gay thing really throws people off because once they hear that I'm black and in a gang, there's no space in their head for the gay. Something's got to go. I can be black and gay, maybe, but if you listen to the media, which I'm a part of, you hear about the black community and the gay community as if they're all separate, and that gay people look a certain way, and that black people are over here, and this whole thing about marriage equality that President Obama was talking about is confusing, because now we have to deal with black and gay. You mean they can be part of the same group? Okay, I'll give you that, but I am not giving you gang. I cannot comprehend a black guy who was gay and in a gang. Where does that all fit in? How do we comprehend that? While you're figuring that all out, I got another secret. Wow, these jeans are so tight, I gotta crawl up on stage. I'm also a dad. I'm a father. I have a wonderful, wonderful 15, soon to be 35-year-old son. He runs the house, he runs my life. I adore him with all of my heart and soul. So, what do you do with that picture, right? How do you manage all of that stuff going on in one person's life? Because on the census form, we really don't have this gay black father box. But we're out there, and we're multiplying. The thing that I love about labels is that it helps make things easier, right? Like, I'm not one of those crazy people that's like going, get rid of all labels and titles and just accept me as who I am. Don't call me woman, don't call me man, don't call me black, don't call me white, don't call me anything. I'm not that person. But what I am is someone who believes that just because you have these descriptors doesn't mean it has to dictate how you live your life. Doesn't mean it has to dictate your potential. That's one of the things I try and tell my son all of the time. Don't let other people's you shouldas dictate your couldas. Always, always allow yourself to be yourself and allow other people that same sort of flexibility. So when they show with all these different labels, and then they go, and then they try to tell you, on top of all of that, they also love going to church, that they were a youth pastor of not one, but 2 churches. You can go, wait a minute, you're a Christian too? How can you be gay and a Christian? Aren't you supposed to be going to hell or something like that? That's what I've heard. But yeah, I was a youth pastor at 2 different churches in my early 20s. Back when I was just black with the gang, but the gay was over here somewhere. I wasn't ready to talk about that yet. I absolutely love giving talks like this because it helps me rationalize my career. It reminds me that it's okay that I can work for ESPN, this sports mega media company, and also work for CNN, this political social juggernaut. You know how many times people on Twitter tell me to stay in your lane? What are you doing writing about sports? You're a political guy. Stay in your lane. You're a political guy. Why are you writing about sports? Stay in your lane. And I go, I am in my lane. It's just my lane is not this big. It's this big. And I want to encompass all that life has to share. Because when I was a poor kid in Detroit, I didn't really have dreams. I was just too busy just trying to survive. My stepfather was kicking my ass every day. We were poor. There were nights in which the lights would be turned off. We depended on welfare cheese. I didn't have dreams. But once I was able to really tap into my potential and explore all the wonderful things that were out there, I realized that I didn't have to be anything but me. And that this whole journey that I'm on was about discovering what that me was. So I could do all of this, be openly gay, and have you do this and not see me, or I can live through all of this, labels, and just let you see me. Not be dictated by all these titles of what I'm supposed to be, but hopefully allow you to see me for just who I am. I got one more that's going to screw with your head. And I know it's going to screw with your head because every now and then it screws me up too. It makes no sense. But even though I'm from Detroit, and I have my good friend Patrick. Patrick, are you here? Patrick is a witness. He would tell you I am probably the biggest country music fan. Am I lying, Patrick? I'm not lying. I am the biggest country music fan out there. If you follow me on Twitter, you will see the people that I interact with are country music stars. I once joked, she's like, you're lying. Check it, Locks and Labs, Locks and Labs. You'll see my whole timeline is filled with interactions with Eric Church. You guys know Eric Church? I'll say, oh, yeah. I knew Eric Church when he was still trying to release his first CD. You know Luke Bryan? I got a story about you about Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan's first song was out. I loved it. Absolutely loved this song. Ran into him at the airport in my hometown, Grand Rapids, Michigan. He was sitting there with his band. No one knew who he was because he wasn't a big star then, but I knew who he was because I love country music. I didn't talk to him while we were sitting in the airport because I didn't want to bother him, but then he was on the same plane as me. And the plane was about as big as this box. So I was like, forget it, I'm just going to talk to him. So I said, excuse me, sir, are you Luke Bryan? And his face went big and smiling. He's like, yeah. And I said, dude, I love your song. Story gets better. 2 months later, I'm in Nashville for the Country Music Awards because I love country. And I run into Luke Bryan at the after party. Luke comes up to me, gives me a big old hug, grabs me, pulls me to his rep, who happens to be one of my best friends, and says, this is the guy I was telling you about. Judy, my good friend, goes, LZ? Everybody knows LZ. Luke was so excited that I recognized him. He told his rep that the first person to recognize him outside of Nashville was a black guy with dreadlocks in Grand Rapids, Michigan. True story. True story. Because I love country. And the reason why I can love country and be gay and black and all that stuff is because we live in this great nation of ours that allows us, please don't break a button. I like this shirt. That allows us to be ourselves. You laugh, but I really believe in the message of America. Because only in America can you be all of this stuff, all of these crazy titles and have all these crazy experiences and not be different. It may sound unusual, but if you really open yourselves up to each other, you will see we all have these wonderful mixed messages going on in our lives. And if we just give each other the space to be ourselves and not judge each other, we can celebrate.